Hey everyone, it's Kevin from Amdahl Hearing. Thanks so much for joining us again today. As promised, today we're going to talk about what goes into a good hearing test. Now remember, this is going to be part two in a series of I don't know how many videos, but it's going to be helping you to pick out and purchase a hearing aid without wasting your money. So first of all, what we need to talk about is we need to talk about the fact that I'm looking at what goes into a good test if a person is looking to get hearing aids. Now, audiologists don't just test for hearing loss and hearing aids. We test for a number of different things. And so I may be omitting some tests that are appropriate for some conditions. This one I'm focusing on just kind of plain vanilla hearing loss. So let's jump into it. Now, the first test that we're going to do, surprisingly for a lot of people, is not even a test. What we're going to do is we're going to have a talk. And the talk that we're going to have is going to involve me mostly listening. I'm going to ask you what brought you in today because I'm curious about what were the conditions that brought you into seeing me today. What was it that prompted you? What kind of difficulties are you having? What's your family telling you? And what worries do you have about your hearing? And, even further than that, what worries do you have about people's experiences with hearing aids that you've heard about so that we can get that all out on the table? Now, during that, I'm going to probably ask a lot of clarifying questions. I'm going to say things like, tell me some more about that, or what was that like, or can you define what you meant by this? And really the whole idea there is to get to a point where I have a full understanding of what it is that brought you in. Now that you've told me what's going on, now it's going to be my turn to ask some questions. And we're going to start with what we call a medical case history. Now, mostly what we're concerned with here is things that might be going on in your medical history that might have an impact on your current situation. What things do I need to know about in the past or present that might be of note for us? Once that's done, we're going to go through and ask a number of questions about very specific situations and how often you feel like you have a hearing problem. Now, it might not be all the time. It might only be some of the time. Heck, it might be none of the time. But the idea is to really get an idea of how often you're experiencing some form of difficulty with your hearing loss. The next, and probably one of the most important things we're going to do, we're going to ask you about the three most important situations that if we improved would have the greatest impact on your life. Because knowing that gives us a firm direction. If we have a problem, what do we do from there? Now, once we've got all of that information collected, now we're going to get down into the nuts and bolts of that hearing test. First of all, we're going to take a look in your ear using something called an otoscope, and that gives us a magnified view of what the inside of your ear looks like. So from the outer part of your ear down to your ear canal, we want to look, or down to your eardrum, what we want to look at is we want to look at the condition of your ear canal. First of all, is it plugged with wax? Could it be that simple? If it is, that's a really good day. We can just remove that. Or maybe there's an issue with the integrity of the ear canal itself. Perhaps there is what we would call an external infection. Maybe there's an issue with your eardrum. Maybe there's a hole in it. Maybe there's a perforation in it. Moving on from there, maybe there's a middle ear infection. All of those things are going to tell us to put on the brakes, get a hold of your doctor, and make sure we've got those things taken care of. Now, if we have some other questions about the integrity of that eardrum, we may do something called a tympanogram, which again is just telling us about the integrity of that entire system. Assuming we're all green-lighted by then, we're going to go on to more of the in-depth hearing test. Most people like to start with what we call a speech reception threshold, which is kind of your ability to really sense those low levels of speech. How well can you repeat words if we keep making that level softer and softer? Once we have an understanding of that, we're going to go into everybody's favorite, that old beep test, what we call air conduction. You're going to hear a beep, and if you hear it, you're either going to raise your hand or you're going to say yes. Once we've got that done at many different frequencies, think many different pitches on the piano, we're going to go in and do another speech test, which is called a discrimination test. And that's going to really test your ability to understand words at a normal conversational level. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that even if you have a little bit of hearing loss, you can have a lot of difficulty understanding. So getting that information is going to be super important for us. Next, we're going to do something called a speech and noise test. Interestingly enough, a lot of people have the most problems hearing and noise. So there was a test developed to test your speech and noise. In doing so, we can get an idea of how much difficulty you're having, and then also we can make the appropriate recommendation as far as technology. Finally, we're going to do what we call a bone conduction test. And really, that's just one more piece of information that helps us to understand that the information we've collected is correct and there's nothing going on that we need to see a doctor about. Assuming all of that information gives us a green light, we can move forward with making a really good recommendation regarding technology. I hope this 5 minutes or so was super helpful to you. Hey, if you have more information or you want to make an appointment, find us at amdahlhearing.com, or you can find us on Facebook. We do have a YouTube channel. If you really like this video, go ahead and give it a like. And if you want more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Again, I'm Kevin with Amdahl Hearing. Thanks for listening.